Slide 1. For our example of a business building, we chose La Dolce Vita Day Spa and Salon in Sahali, adjacent to the Columbia Square shopping area. Slide 2. First, we examined the area immediately surrounding the building to get an idea of what could be done to prevent crime. Some spots in the vicinity are perfect for transients to hide out in, like this dumpster, where they can just walk behind it and camp out. This currently does have a gate, but it doesn't actually get locked. If it becomes a problem in the future, we'd recommend locking it up. Slide 3. Another spot is right by the entrance. There's a bit of an alcove with nothing in it. This can potentially become a spot where homeless people can hang out and pose a threat to workers leaving their shift, since they can't see out this spot until they're right outside. We'd recommend either fencing it off or completely filling it with something that could occupy the space, or clearing the windows so staff and patrons can look out. Slide 4. At the back of this building complex is an employee parking lot and loading area with many different hideaways for the homeless or other criminals to hide out in. Since these things can cause so many hiding spots back here, it would be hard to remove, other than the dumpsters. We'd recommend, as a first step, CCTV security cameras around and inside the building. At this moment, the only cameras that can see any part of the building at close range is on a completely different building on the other side of the parking lot. Security cameras would prove to be a helpful safety measure for people in and around the building and could help deter potential burglars. Slide 5. Inside the building, there is a severe lack of security. The front desk is not elevated, there are no CCTV cameras, and no security guards. There are mirrors, however, they are not meant to be capable of providing a 360-degree view of the store. On the plus side, there is a giant metal pull gate that staff can use when closing up to prevent people breaking the windows and walking inside to steal stuff, as it has happened to them over a dozen times in the last 2 years. When asked, the staff said they would feel much safer with security patrols throughout the entire complex, which currently has no security. Slide 6. At night, the area is very poorly lit, and for the past week, the main street light has been burnt out and covers the parking lot in darkness, making it easy for people to hide in bushes, behind cars, and in the second dumpster located in the front parking lot. We recommend talking with the landlord and solving that issue and fixing any lighting, as well as increasing the lighting for all the other lights.
For our example of a residence that can employ some of the CPTED principles we've discussed, I chose this dilapidated property in the town of Falkland. I have not been able to confirm if the property is currently abandoned or not, although I certainly suspect it is because of the lack of lighting, but I can confirm that it was inhabited last fall, and the same problems it has now were still just as visible back then as well. First of all, you can see those terrible looking bushes in front of the house. Even with all of the leaves fallen off, they still obscure a very large amount of the view into and out of the yard, which is a danger for the people who live there. With trees and bushes that tall and in that small of a space, it would be incredibly easy for a criminal, if they wanted to just take 10 seconds and just slip into the yard completely unnoticed. Secondly, that fence in the picture, it doesn't really do much on its own to keep people out. At least you're able to see out from the building at the people, and it's not too tall where you won't see anybody. But it's almost as if the bushes are acting as more of a deterrent for people, keeping people out than the actual fence itself. And in that second picture, you can see on the right side of the property, there's that taller wooden fence, which is good if you don't want anybody to see, but if you want to see anybody who's hanging around outside your place, it's a pretty big disadvantage for that. The area is actually really, really bad for property theft, and it's been getting worse over the years, partially because the access to the highway is very immediate, and being a more out-of-the-way kind of side street that nobody really pays attention to, nobody really pays attention if anybody comes in or out of there. And there's a complete lack of any kind of video surveillance, which means that the only way a suspect can be caught is mostly by eyewitnesses. Lastly, the lighting on the street in the area of this house is not very good. You pretty much have to rely on the headlights coming off from the highway, which is almost 50 meters down the road. Some street lamps that are spaced throughout the town, even like 30 meters apart, would drastically improve the visibility. Here's a photo of the house with my car's headlights pointing at it, and it's still incredibly dark. And here's a picture without the headlights, and you can see just how much it needs some light in there. That's the end of our presentation. Thanks for watching.